There we go. Is that better? I was hooked to my Bluetooth. I forget. Hi, Lush. Way better. Hi, friends. Come on in. Sorry about that. Sometimes I forget to disconnect it. 7:30 in the morning. Here we go. Another day, another live. How's everyone doing? Hi, Mrs. Miller, Lynn, Horizons Vintage, Jules. Welcome, welcome. I'm just waiting for my husband to pop in. Hopefully he's awake. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. You? Just making sure. Oh, yeah. I love it. Are you ready? Do you want me to do it now? Or do you want me to, like, do an intro and then bring you in? Look at... I got all this stuff in the back. Abraham was supposed to bring it all in, and he didn't. How dare him. Welcome in, you guys. If you have questions, go ahead and drop them. My husband and I are going to co-host, because my husband is the teacher of the group of us. Okay. Well, Wes is awake. Just FYI. He was already showering when I left. But welcome in, you guys. We are doing our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday Q&A. There is some things in the buy it now. There's like a small little coffee purchase so you can have the playback of the video. You'll have 60 days to access it. After 60 days, Whatnot takes the video receipt down. But you are able, through your purchase, to re-watch this. And there is also a playbook. My husband wrote a playbook last year. It is incredibly beneficial if you are a new live seller, or even if you're an experienced live seller. It's 10 chapters. It'll literally take you like 45 minutes to read. There are diagrams and really digestible and easy concepts to help you understand what live sales is. And he has so many different formats that you can like just internalize and put into your business, which is such a game changer. It literally is why I am where I am. And for those of you who are new here, my name is Jennica. I've been a full-time reseller for 7 years, 4 of which I was a traditional reseller. Hi, Stace. 4 of which I was a traditional reseller, and then 3 years I have been on Whatnot. So I've been a live seller for 3 years. I'm almost at, I actually need to check to see if I hit. Why are you not working? I actually need to check. I did it! I'm at 33,000 sales. I don't have to say 32 anymore. Hi, This Vintage. How are you? So I'm at 33,000 sales. Woohoo! I'm doing about 1,000 sales in a week and a half to 2 weeks, somewhere in there. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. And my husband's just making coffee, so I'm going to kind of just go into some of our history and our journey kind of on Whatnot. So when I first started Whatnot, I was 7 months pregnant. I found Whatnot through a very stressful time in my life. I was 7 months pregnant with my 6th baby, and that pregnancy was really taxing on my body. Like, I was napping multiple times a day. Luckily, my daughter was in school, so I was able to do that. But because of that, I was not able to keep up with the amount of listings I needed to put on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, and Depop for our business to really turn a profit. And we had 2 overseas VAs. We had an in-house lister and photographer. I was sourcing full-time, 7 months pregnant, and we were just burnt out. We were really trying to get our traditional reselling business to replace my husband's income. We really, really wanted him to be able to leave corporate America, and the amount of volume that we had to do to get our numbers to where they needed to be to fulfill his income was astronomical. Like it was like 100 to 200 listings per day, Sunday through Saturday, and it just was not feasible. So my husband and we love to go on drives. We feel like we hear Holy Spirit in the car. We really communicate really well in the car. And we were on our way to our friend Jesse's house, and I just had it. Welcome in, you guys. I'm just going over my traditional reselling journey into Whatnot while my husband is making coffee. And so I was 7 months pregnant, and I was very emotional, and I was pissed because I felt like I was on a hamster wheel, just running and running and running and listing and listing and listing, and just praying and hoping that we could bring in enough sales so my husband could leave his corporate job. And we just reached a point where we were like, it's just not going to happen. We're not going to be able to do it. We would have to have a warehouse. We had 2 huge storage units. We were paying, the overhead was insane. We were paying $600 plus for both of these storage units. And we were always away from home because we had to go to the storage unit to do shipping every single day. Gracie pretty much grew up at our storage unit with her iPad and a camp chair. And we would ship orders, and I just got to the point where I was like, I'm freaking done. I'm done. I just called it. I was like, we're not doing it anymore. It's not working, and we're not making enough for you to be able to leave your corporate job. So, and I'm having a baby in 3 months. So there's no way, if I can't keep up with it now, I'm not going to be able to keep up with it later. So at the time I had 5,200 followers on Instagram, and my husband was like, well, we have all of this inventory. Is there a way that you can sell it to your Instagram audience? And I know, seriously. And in that car ride, we literally Googled how to sell our inventory online or on Instagram, and in that search, Whatnot came up, and I immediately clicked on it. We downloaded the app, and a week later we had applied to be on Whatnot. Whatnot was a lot different in the beginning. They were very choosy with who could sell on the app. You had to prove that you had inventory. You had to provide photos. You also had to provide tax information, and you essentially had to be like, I have inventory, I can consistently do lives, and I would like to join Whatnot. They had onboarding, and onboarding, so many people were applying that it took me 3 weeks to get on the app. So that whole 3 weeks, I'm just digesting Whatnot and what Whatnot is and how to be successful on it. And I quickly figured out through watching this guy. His name was Greg. He was adopted at birth, and in his late 20s wanted to find his adoptive parents, and he was doing a live, and these people were purchasing coffees, like you can see in the Buy It Now. They were purchasing these coffees from him. He was making hundreds of dollars because he was just opening up about his life and being super authentic. And I was like, well, that is my like strong suit. I'm super authentic. Thank you so much, Coopies. I love people like, thank you, me too. You should see the backstage. You would really like it. It's really cute. I sourced it. And I was just like, this is amazing. If currency on this app is authenticity and like personality, I'ma hit it out of the park. Like, I just knew, like I knew, like, I've got inventory, get me on this app. And so I had to wait 3 weeks before I could get on to Whatnot. And I kid you not, that was the most torturous 3 weeks of my life, because I was just like, I know I can do this, and I know I can be great at it. And I was already like, my mindset and skill set was grit and determination. That's what traditional reselling is, especially if you're trying to get your business to get up off the ground, to make enough so you're replacing an income. So I was just like, I know I can do this. So I finally got on the app, and I set my first show. I think it was like a Thursday at like 6 p.m. And I picked all of my best items from eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, and Depop. I pulled it out of inventory, and I hung them up. I loaded my store, took photos, measurements, like built the listing. I took my photos from eBay, so I would just screenshot my photos and put them on Whatnot. And all of my shows were preloaded, right? I had these gorgeous 1970s gowns that I was like starting at $6. And this is how I met Travis. So Boombox was my first customer ever. He was on the app the same time that I was. He was just trying to figure out what it was. And Boombox literally purchased all of these 1970s gowns from me for like $6. I had 2 buyers. I made like 6 sales, and Travis bought 5. Another girl bought 1. And I was so defeated. Like, I knew that these gowns and these dresses would go for straight money on Etsy, and I was practically giving them away. And I remember being so defeated, and my husband was just like, we just got to keep going. So I scheduled my next live. I went live again. I'm pretty sure it was like 2 days later. Yeah, I was like so discouraged. Yes. I know, he's just such a vibe, and like, what a gift God has given us to find each other. And like, if you guys knew our background and our journeys separate from each other and then coming together, like what we've had to endure together is like, it's like insurmountable. Like, people would not be able to do it. They would like, no, I mean, you do have a listing fee. I'm pretty sure it's like 20 cents, and it's per month, but they normally extract it from your earnings, so you don't really have to worry about that. So I ended up doing another live, right? Travis came back again, and he started purchasing more from me. And Travis kept saying in the chat, he kept being like, you just have such beautiful items. I really shouldn't be buying right now, but they're so beautiful, and I can't let them go to someone who's not gonna like appreciate them. So Travis, out of like the sympathy of his heart, was just like purchasing all of these gowns from me. And if you guys were in his live, probably like 3 months ago, one of those 1970s gowns he tried on, listed in his store, and I bought it back because it was like super nostalgic for me. So I again came out of the live. The girl who had purchased the other gown in my first show came back as well. So I had 2 repeat buyers. But in my mind, as a traditional reseller, I'm like, I am not making enough money. Like, I should be getting way, way more for this, right? I'm also 7 months pregnant, so I'm incredibly emotional. I'm like struggling to like maintain, my emotions. And I go out of the room after my live. I made like, I don't know, $43 or something. And my husband was like, Jennica, that was amazing. And I'm like, you're crazy, because I am struggling, and like I'm trying to figure out how to run the app, and I'm trying to show all the details, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And he was just like, but Jennica, the thing is you got repeat buyers. Dante, just in time, man, just in time. You guys, Dante is one of our deepest friends, a sweet brother, and we met him a season ago when we started to do Q&As and coach people, and he's just been like the biggest support. So show him some love, go follow him, and I just love him so deeply. I went live one day and I made $6, but I didn't give up. I came across vintage Barbie stuff and made $184. Yes! Dreamcatcher. That's what it's about. Hi, Honeyfern. And so I came out of the room and my husband was elated. And I'm like so irritated. I was so pregnant, and like I said, like my emotions were all over the place. And I was pissed because I just was like, I just want these dresses to go for more. And my husband was like, I know. He was so certain. He had been in sales for a really long time. We were always trying to figure out how we could get repeat buyers on Etsy, eBay, and Poshmark. We did like printed postcards. We would put my Instagram on the boxes. We would add gifts. Like, we were always trying to figure out how to get repeat buyers in traditional sales. So when he saw that I came back, Sarah Jane, I love you, and I love that. That is the best. You guys, if you're not following Sarah Jane, please do. She is such a gem. I just love her till the freaking cows come home, because she just has such a good energy. If you want to like go to an authentic show, go to Sarah Jane. She has incredible items too. But like I said, the currency on Whatnot is your personality. It is you showing up as you. So I came out of the room, my husband's like, yeah, and I'm like, screw you. And he's like, Jennica, I know that it is about repeat buyers, and you just had 2 of them. And I'm like, okay, I guess, like, woohoo, repeat buyers, right? So I go live again. I get another repeat buyer. So I have 3 repeat buyers. And my items are not being bid up. I'm still doing like $5 to $6 starts. I'm doing varied starts on different items, and I was like, okay, my husband and I came out of the room of my 3rd live, and I still was defeated. That traditional mindset was so ingrained in me that I was trying to get the most out of every item for profit. And so I come out of the live. It was a later live, and it was later in the evening, and my husband was like, we gotta switch it up, because I'm out here on cloud 9 and you're on poopy pants cloud, and I need you to understand what is happening. And I'm like, all right, coach, this is really when my husband started to coach me. So he's always been my coach, but in traditional reselling, like, there really is only so much coaching you can do. Like, you either find the inventory and list it, or you don't. Like, it's not like rocket science. But it's a real thing. Be careful. And so I was like, really, really struggling to. He's wearing a beanie. He knows I love it when he wears a
It's
beanie.
cold outside.
Yeah, I bet.
Chilly. It's chilly.
Well, why don't you go put a jacket on?
I'm wearing a flannel that you sourced
Okay,
for me.
I came out of the room and he was,
Dante.
you need to switch it up. We've got to reframe this because the name of the game is repeat buyers and you're defeated because you didn't get the most out of every item. So then my husband taught me LTV, the lifetime value of a customer. You need to understand that you're not trying to get the most out of every item because the idea of LTV is so much more profitable than you trying to get profit off of one item because one customer can turn into thousands of dollars. And if they come back to you again and again, then you're winning. So right then and there, we hit the ground running and like literally dropped that mindset. I don't think it took me very long. Hi, Kristen. I don't think it took me very long to be like, oh, let's go. We had 7,200 listings. We took all of our listings down. We took all of our inventory out of storage, and they were all in poly bags with numbered stickers, and we took everything out. We set up like 7, 8 racks in a basement in our room downstairs, and we hung everything up. 7,200 listings in this tiny room, and I would go live and do $1 starts 4 hours. I did a 12-hour live, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., doing $1 starts, 7 months pregnant. Because at the time, 1K sales, you got instant payout. So we were like, let's get that instant payout because once we get to there, then you can start taking money and investing it back into the business. You don't have this huge delay. And it took us less than a month to get to 1,000 sales. I did $1 starts for 3 months and tried to sell everything. It's 1,000. It's still the same. Get off your poopy cloud. So that is sort of our story into live sales and how we just really hit the ground running and really wanted to succeed. Also, if one of us is talking and you want to see us better, just hit this button on the side. It's called swap, and it will swap the two. Or you can swipe the chat out of the way. I just want you guys to be able to like see whoever is talking. And Dad, do you have like
Did you call me dad?
yeah, you're the dad of our children. I call you dad all the time.
No. They are
Okay,
asleep right now. No one's to call me dad right now,
okay,
okay?
okay.
That
He's
shift
been
has
a
not
dad
started.
for a long
Don't
time.
do that.
Okay, do you have like an agenda? Do you have something in mind that you want to
An
talk about?
agenda. I have an agenda. Dante, what's up, dude? What's up, dude? Good to see you. Yeah, I want to talk about universal systems model. We should probably rename this Q&A, but if you guys want, we can do like questions. Or we can talk because it says Q&A. We'll follow what the show poster says.
Mhm.
Um,
I think
or we can
it would
talk
be
universal
better if
systems
you
model.
took your headphones out.
I would do better if I took it out.
Mhm.
But I don't want to because I can hear you so well.
Okay.
Is it sound bad?
I mean, it's just kind of muffled.
Okay, it's probably my beanie.
No, you're good.
Okay, we good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, let's talk universal systems model because this is a thing. So Jen was just talking about how she was frustrated by everything that was going on, and had been coaching a sales team. Um, so I'd coached a sales team for 3 years, and I'd coached like hundreds of agents on how to improve their sales process, including my own team. And this was something that I would talk about all the time because we took inbound calls for from small businesses for companies like Verizon and AT&T and CenturyLink, and we would sell internet, phone, TV, security systems, and I would notice a lot of people came in and they struggled with in sales, and so I've taught this process. I did not come up with this. This is just how systems work. And this is what I talked about with Jen when she came out, and she's like, "This is not working." And I was like, "You gotta keep going. This is amazing." It was pretty funny because I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." And she'd come out just like, "Oh, this is the worst." I'm like, "We're gonna keep going. This is the best thing ever. Live sales is where it's at." All right, so let's talk universal systems model. Um,
Thank you. Ah, I hear you, Brandy. I hear you.
yeah, those are
We
tough
leave
to
those
listen to.
lives so quickly.
So I've got a little notepad here. If you guys want to screenshot this, I think this is a really helpful model. Oh, the sun is peeking over right now. I don't know how well you guys can see that. I'm gonna try to hold it still so you guys can see this.
Move
This is
it
a u-
to your left.
is that like that?
Keep going.
Like that?
Keep going.
Oh,
There you go.
there we go. I just peek over. All right, how's that?
Good.
Okay, cool. It's reversed for me. So, um, good morning, Chip. Good to see you. Um, All right, so universal systems model. Your business is made up of systems. That's all it is a bunch of systems put together. So it's made up of sourcing, it's made up of staging, it's made up of your actual show, it's made up of shipping, and then it's made up of your story or how you document what it is that you're doing. So the universal systems model is a system. So this model appears multiple times in your business. And it's really important to know what part of your business you're working on. Because if you don't know, it's just this big, like amorphous um, thing. Like it's just like, oh, I don't know. And we end up going off of based off of our feelings. And so, like, if we had gone off of feelings when Jen came out of the show, she'd be like, and I can't tell you how many times this has happened. And this is no, I'm not in any way being like, it shouldn't happen, but I think it happens for a lot of people that don't have like a sounding board to come out. So she would come out of shows and just be like, worst show ever. Like, I don't even know about this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And so we'd go sit down and look at like the numbers and be like, this is how many return buyers you have. This is how many first time buyers. And she's like, just tell me what it is. Like she's looking at like just all these numbers. She's like, oh my gosh, I don't care about all these numbers. And great, you did great on like putting colors in this spreadsheet. Thank you. But I don't like just break it down for me. And I'd just be like, we just keep doing what we're doing. It's working. And I think a lot of times we come out of these, we get off of lives, and I've done the same thing because I've done lives before as well, and just been like, oh, it's not working. That I don't know what's going on. So what? I don't know if I should even continue. And it can be difficult unless we have somebody there to be like, no, just keep going, or we understand we need to be focusing on within our business. So I want to talk about the universal systems model so you guys understand. Um, Let me put this down. I can't even see. The sun
I
just came
know
up.
you should
Um,
move, Dave.
but the
So you're.
lighting is amazing.
I know the whole point is you're supposed to interact with
Who
us.
said
You're
that? Okay, let me show you. All right. So this system, this is how every system works within your business. All right. So you have an input. Okay, this is your time, this is your energy, this is your resources like money, this is your mindset, this is your skill set. Okay, that's your input. Then it goes into your process. A process would be like a recipe. It'd be like sprinklers are turning on. I may be moving real quick. We'll see. Um, your process is going to be like how you do it. So it would be like a sequence of how you do it. It could be like a list that you're using or just a process that you do. Like Jen, for example, her process for showing items, if you guys see when you go to her bin show today, she'll be talking about the item, she'll measure the item, and then she will show you the tag, and then she'll pull back and be like, here's the item. And if it works out in her bin show, she'll actually try it on, and then she'll run the item. And so that's her process for how she does it. She does it in a very similar way each time. And that's important
Buy
because
you
if
a
you,
coffee.
what?
They buy you a coffee.
All right, let's go. Thanks. Oh, here it is. Guys, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the copy. So that's your process. That's how you go about. That's Jen's process for showing the item. Okay. And then from there, once we do that, we get an output which is not controllable, and then you get feedback from that. So let's talk about this in a different analogy. My man Dante knows about this because we talked about this a lot. But um, let's talk about this like you're baking cookies, okay? And I think this is really applicable because when you bake cookies or you make unless you're like doing something really complicated, everyone here's most likely made like chocolate chip cookies, right? So your input is going to be your ingredients, your process is your recipe, your output is whatever comes out of the oven, and your feedback is what happens when you eat the cookie, okay? Nobody bakes cookies and then maybe burns them, or they forget an ingredient, or they switch like baking soda and baking powder, and they eat the cookie and they take it personally, like, oh, I'm the worst person in the world, I don't even know if I should do this anymore, like it's probably not for me, like those other people can bake chocolate chip cookies, but there's something wrong with me, and I should just give up. You either got it or you don't, and I don't have it. But we do that in live sales because it's a bigger thing. It's very amorphous, it's undefined, and we're doing it live in front of people, and we're receiving feedback, and we take it personally, like there's something wrong with us, instead of understanding, oh, I'm missing something within my process. The output that I received is from my input in my process. And so, and you just like just like chocolate chip cookies, like you're pretty certain that you're going to get the output that you're looking for. But if it doesn't go well, you're not going to take it personally. You would literally go back and be like, huh, baking powder, baking soda, those are two different things, I must have mixed it up. We would go back, anyone would go back through and look through the process of like, is 475 degrees, 375, like, I don't know, I guess they are different, right? So we would go back through and look at what happened, right? We wouldn't start talking about other variables outside of it, like, well, maybe it's a little bit rainy today, maybe that affected it. But too many times in live sales, I
Got
see people.
rated by Karen.
Oh, sweet. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Karen. um so we're talking about live sales and how to really approach the mindset of live sales. So we're talking about chocolate chip cookies as well. So real quick again, chocolate chip cookies. When you make it, your input is your ingredients, okay? Your process is your recipe, what you do, what you bake them at. Your output is what comes out of the oven. Your feedback is when you or somebody else tries it. And then if depending on how this looks, we go back in and say, I either nailed this, or if it doesn't taste right or I burned it, I go back through the process on my input and I see what did I do well? What did I do wrong? Or more, a better question would be like, what would I do differently? And now that I know that, I'm gonna bake another batch of cookies, and I'm gonna go back through and I'm gonna do this again. That's the same process in life. It's the same process for anything that you want to learn in life. And live selling is a skill set. It's not an either you got it or you don't. Okay. This isn't um, I did a video on TikTok about this, but I think that y'all watch American Idol like when it first came out, or still, I don't know. It's probably still on. I only like watched like a few episodes of it, but I think that American Idol screwed up so many people, and I'll tell you why. American Idol, I remember, so I'm a musician, so when American Idol came out, I grew up listening to like classic rock and like grunge and like and in the 90s like really got into hip hop and rap. And I remember when American Idol came on, I I first of all, I loved the first episode of every season because that's when they would have like everyone come in and you'd see like the people who were like crazy delusional, like I'm for sure gonna win this thing, and then they sing and they can't, they have like no ability to sing, they can't even like hear notes. Um, and so I remember watching those and I couldn't watch anything beyond that. But one of the things that I remember it being was like there was this overall idea like you either had it or you didn't. And as a musician, I knew that was BS. It's not an either you got it or you don't. When they would show, they would tell stories. They'd be like, Daryl's a garbage man from Detroit, and he's been um, he was abandoned by his parents at age 2, and he never learned to read or write, and he's never even sang before. But here's Daryl, and then Daryl comes out and he sings, and he's like one of the most amazing singers you've ever heard. And people are like, "Wow, like Daryl had it in him the whole time. He just he just had it." And the thing is that's not true. Daryl is he's trained. He's been vocally trained. He probably had a coach. He probably had somebody that was helping him. He's been working at this thing for years. You don't just get on stage and perform like this. But I think it messed up a lot of people because it had this idea in it that was embedded, which was you either got it or you don't. That if you another big thing to that as well is like nobody wants to be the delusional person who couldn't hear, who was absolutely tone deaf but was going for it anyways, and nobody around them was letting them know. But I think that put a lot of fear into people that they were like, oh man, I hope I'm not like that delusional person who. I'm gonna turn this a little bit so I'm to squint at y'all. And so I think that that really like messed with people because it had this idea embedded in it, which was like you either got it or you don't. And I hope that you guys understand like life selling and any skill set is not like that at all. It is something that you learn over time and you get better at. So there is nobody who's you either got it or you don't. Now, I do believe that just because um, maybe you're like interested in live sales, but it's not going to be for everybody. Just like being a singer isn't for everybody. But if you have a strong desire to do this and you keep showing up and you're wanting to do it, and there's something that's preventing you from doing it, but you're still like showing up or you are doing it and it's not like working out in a certain way like you want it to, I just want you to know like all we need to do is go back through and look at like what your input and your process is, and the output and the feedback will eventually take care of itself. So the only things that you can control in your business is the input and the process. We want to do our best to use that input in the process to influence the output and to use our feedback to get better. But this is the controllable. This is the uncontrollable. And you need to be very clear at what thing you are working on and if, whether or not it's within your control. So when Jen came out of her show and being like, oh my gosh, like this is the worst. There's only like 8 people on my show. My items aren't getting bid up. And I don't know, like, I don't think this is for me, and instead just be like, no, 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 we just need to like evaluate like what's working and what isn't working. People in your show, that's an output, you have no control over that whatsoever. um Feedback, people in the comments, reviews and things like that, we can influence it, but everyone has free will. They have free agency, so they can do and say whatever they want. All we're looking to do is influence this through this. But I think too many times people focus on trying to make this happen, or they make this the focus. And when you make this the focus, it gets really wonky. It gets weird when you try to make that, you can't influence it. And so what instead we just want to always be looking at our input and our process. And this requires like just taking responsibility. So I'll give you an example of I think what happens a lot of times. People will get out of their live and they're like, that didn't go exactly as I wanted. And I think one of the most dangerous things that you can do is be like, well, it was a holiday weekend, so probably it was that. Or I wonder, there's probably some other big sellers that were on, and therefore, like people weren't coming to my shows. Or maybe this, and maybe, but I don't really see any benefit in doing that. Or in traditional resales, we'd hear it a lot of like, oh, it's summer slowdown. And so That's why my sales are going down. Or people would get on and ask their friends and be like, why do you guys, are you guys running into stuff right now? And I've seen videos on TikTok of like, is anyone else experiencing this thing right now in their business where like sales have slowed down? And I just don't understand the benefit to it, because none of those things are within your control. And yeah, maybe they do exist. But if they do exist, what benefit does it do for you? Because what happens is we take the responsibility and we put it outside of ourselves, and the last thing we look at is our input in our process. And so when we do that, it is summer slowdown a thing? I don't know. I don't, it doesn't, honestly, it
Not
doesn't
for
matter
us.
if it is or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But if you are like, yeah, it's summer slowdown, the next thing that happens is you're like, well, I guess it probably isn't even like worth it for me to like do stuff right now. Or maybe what ends up happening is if you're really into like, oh yeah, it's summer slowdown, that's why there's no one on the app right now, or it's this or it's that. You now unconsciously gave yourself permission to, number one, not look at your input in your process. And number two, I should just slow down. Like, what's the use? Like your brain unconsciously or consciously will be like, well, it's summer slowdown, so I guess I'm gonna slow down as well. And so I think it's really important. Thank you so much for the coffee. Y'all have no idea how much I love coffee.
We do. I know.
So, yeah, you know. So, y'all, when you're doing your when you're going anything in your anything in your life, just go through and look at your input and process. Here's the thing though, it's not always the most comfortable thing to do, but when you do it, it unlocks things in your business. It unlocks things in your life. And you take it empowers you. It's the most empowering thing. There's no power in being like, oh, it was slow for everybody. Oh, I talked to like my reseller friends and they said the same thing. What's the point in that? There's no benefit. And now you're like, yep, my business is it's just a whim. It's just like if depending on how the wind blows,
Can
that's
I
what
give
happens.
another analogy?
Yeah, please.
I mean, experience. So when I'm at the bins, I don't talk to people. I don't conversate with people because the small resellers and small minded resellers, they immediately put blanket statements over the bins of being like, they're not good today. Have you found anything? I haven't found anything. Is it good? Is it bad? Like, and immediately that sourcer who's looking for items says, oh, Stacy said it wasn't a good day today, so therefore I'm not going to look as hard. And so I'm very careful with who I talk to at the bins because I do not want to be subjected to their idea of what is good and what is bad. I would rather stick with my intention of being like, I'm here to find the goods and be like, it's all here. It's all here. I will not take blanket statements and receive them as my own.
Yeah. And when you do, you abandon the process. So when I would teach sales team, like I said, we were receiving inbound calls from small businesses who are looking for internet service. And every once in a rare while, we might, because our company did both the marketing and sales side, and they were two completely different sides. They didn't communicate very well. The marketing side might mess up, and there might be a number on there that would be people would be calling in for customer care for Verizon. And then our sales team would start receiving these calls. Very, very rarely happened. But if you talk to the agents, it was a daily thing. Oh, I think they're all customer care calls. Every call that's coming in is a customer care call. And what would happen is, if people started speaking that out on the call center floor, what would happen? And this is the most frustrating thing as a sales coach because I'm like trying to like get in front of this thing and be like, no, 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 no. It doesn't look. Just keep taking the calls and doing the best. What they would do is they would abandon their process because they would start believing every call that's coming in is only for customer care. They're already a customer. We can't sell this thing. And therefore, they would abandon their process. They'd just be like, hello, is this for customer care? They're like, no, I'm looking for service. You're like, okay, well, and they would abandon the entire process. And so, have you guys ever, for those of you that are parents, you will understand this. When your child can't find something and they come in and they're like, I can't find this thing. You're like, well, you were the last one to have it. It's probably where you last left it. I can't find, I've looked everywhere. I've looked everywhere. You guys experienced this before? And you're like, 100%, I'm going to walk out there and I'm going to be able to find this like immediately. And we tell our daughter all the time when she comes in, I don't know where my water is. It's like, where'd you leave it last? Well, somebody must have moved it. I'm like, no, it's there. I can't, I've looked everywhere. You've looked every single place. Yeah, I've looked everywhere. And we always say, you got to want to find it. You have to want to find it. And then sure enough, I'm like, if I get up and I walk out into that room and it's there, okay, I'll go look. I'll go look. Hey, I found it. Oh, or I'll walk out there and I'll just stand there because I immediately, when I walk into the room, I'll see it. And I'm like, it's in this room. There you go. Warmer, warmer, hot, hot. Oh, it was there the whole time. It's the same thing. Whatever you're telling yourself, I can't find it. Nobody shows up to my shows. I have low viewership. Whatnot is only to get rid of things. That's the only thing. Okay, if that's what you want, we will literally, our brains will agree with that and it will create that. And so it was the most amazing thing to see people taking phone calls and being like, whatever story they were telling themselves would show up for them, right? Not every single time. But the main thing is it's not this magical thing that happens. It's because they stuck with the process. They stuck with their input. And so they don't change this up. So they don't tell stories to themselves that has them abandon the process. Because if you believe that like no matter what I do, my items don't get bid up, then now at that point, there's nothing for you to do. There's nothing that you could possibly improve upon. It is what it is. And that's really dangerous because once you believe that you cannot improve, it's called a fixed mindset. And you either have a fixed mindset where you're like, I'm my shows are how they are, and there's nothing I can do to fix it. And I'm competing with a big seller out there and all this. That's a fixed mindset. And nothing you can do is going to change it, or a growth mindset, which is, how can I make this better? What can I do to improve upon this? And so I really invite you guys to look at like, what is your input and what is your process? That's why we talk about having a loaded store. That's why we talk about doing these things where you're preparing for that, where you're staging your items, you're running in order. The reason why is because you have a process. And when you have a process and you have the same input, only then can you make adjustments to your business. If you are taking requests and you're letting other people run your show, well, you don't have, number one is you have no authority in your show. Number two is you're alienating other people that are coming into your show, and they'll leave because it's like one person's like, it's like the DJ at your party where they're like, I'm gonna play whatever music I want, and everyone else is like, I'm leaving. I'm not down with this. The other thing is as well is even if you have a really successful show, you can't go repeat that thing because it's not your process. You were running under somebody else's process. And so it's not a repeatable thing. It's like it's like inviting other people into your recipe that you're putting together and then being like, every time I do this, my outcome could be up or down. What you need to do is take control over your input and your process, and you need to guard that thing, like Jen was talking about. Like, make sure that your input in a process aligns with your output. That way, you're constantly refining this so that you can influence this by understanding. You look at your feedback, it goes back into your input and your process, and you say, hey, based off of what I'm doing, what feedback can I use to improve what I'm doing and hopefully influence a better output? Anything else is a waste of time. Even if summer slowdown's a thing, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. Keep going with your input and your process. Is it a holiday weekend? Maybe. Are there big sellers doing raid trains that are pulling people out of your show? Quite possibly. But when you abandon that and you're like, oh, it's a big seller and they're doing raid trains and all of my buyers are in another show, you abandon the possibility of getting new buyers to come in that will then become return buyers. So I believe very much in being like almost um almost like delusional. Be the person in American Idol who does believe that they are the greatest singer in the world, but add in actually having an input in a process. Those people that had no talent whatsoever and had no training whatsoever, they just believed it fully. Go in with that delusional belief and also go in with that same that same understanding of input and process because you can improve. Go back and listen through your shows. It might be your cadence, it might be how quickly you're moving through items. Maybe you're moving too quickly and you're not getting as much as you could, or you're not going fast enough and people are leaving. That might be something. It might be the language that you're using, or it could be in the way that you're speaking. Maybe if you're saying the same thing like Eileen Fisher sweater is cashmere, the size is a medium. It's an Eileen Fisher sweater, cashmere, size medium, running now. Okay, running. All right. Next one. I've got a LL Bean flannel. LL Bean flannel. This is a large. It's in great condition. LL Bean flannel, large, great condition, running now. It's the same thing over and over again, and your audience gets bored with it. And so they leave. You might be making sales, and that's a good thing because you have a process. At least you have a process for what you're doing. But go through and look through your process on how you can improve that again and again. Are you showing up fully? Are you bringing your personality to it? Are you telling stories? Are you using different, very descriptive words that can help you to describe different pieces of clothing? Are you identifying like the things that you love about it, the item itself, and showing those things? And do you have a process for how you're doing that? And then go back through and review and see what you could do, what you can do. I when I started at the contact center, I started out as an agent on the floor, and the first 9 months I sucked so badly. And it wasn't for like a lack of trying. I was listening to my managers and I was trying to do the thing, but like 9 months into this thing, I'm like, I don't know if I have it. I'm not good at this and I don't understand it. Like I feel like I should be like pretty decent at this. And I started going home and studying outside and really like studying like how my process was. And I would practice like my intro. I would leave voicemails for people and then like listen back to it and then go re-record it and see if I could do it better. I would look for ways that I could just improve my process. And every single time that my phone rang, I would do this thing like, okay, here we go. And I would follow the process and try to improve. And then as soon as I finished the call, whether it was a call I couldn't sell, maybe we didn't even have service there, or maybe they didn't buy or it did sell, I would pause for a moment and be like, what did I do well? And I would give myself the credit for what I had done well. Did I do my intro well? Did I do the actual discovery part of it? How was my pitch? How did I do my overcoming of objections? How did I close the sellout? Did I do everything I needed to do? And I would evaluate my call just in my head because it was fresh right there. And then I'd say, if I were to go back and do that again, if I could go back in time and start over, what would I do differently? Is there anything that I would change? And if I maybe came up with a list of like 5 things, I would pick one thing out of that list that I would do differently on the next call. And then the next question would be like, now that I understand this, what am I going to do differently on the next call? And it would always be within my control, something that I could do. I couldn't control who was going to call in, but I could control my process. So I invite you guys to do that in your shows as well. And as you do this again and again and again, you'll slowly get better, but those things will have a huge impact overall because you begin to stack these things where Jen would come out and I'd have I'd have a whole page of like notes for her. Like she'd come out of her live and she's thick skinned like this, but I'd be like, hey, that was a great live. And I'd ask her, like, what do you feel like you did well? If you were to go back, what would you do differently? And if she was like, I don't know, I'd be like, oh, okay. I took a few notes here. If you want, let's go through this real quick. And
It was
she's a champion.
painful, you guys. It was
she
painful.
was a,
But
she
I
was a
did
champion
it.
with it.
I did it.
And so and so we'd go through and it might be little things like being like, don't say sorry anymore. You say sorry a lot. Or you're using adorable like every sentence, and everything can't be adorable. We need to find about 10 other words that you can use besides adorable.
Isn't it
Um,
cute? It's so cute. I love this. It's so cute.
it's cute. Everything was cute. And go back through and look. And those things seem like really small, but they make a really big difference. And I can tell you why, because a lot of people are listening to your show, not even paying attention. How many of y'all, I guess this wouldn't work, but I was going to ask, like, how many of y'all are just listening to this right now and you're not watching it? But you're most likely away from your phone. You're like, You just raise your hand as you're like making breakfast. You're like, me, I'm not writing that in the chat. Um, all right. So Ash is listening. Um, so how many people? Yeah, I was across the room. Dante launches across the room. I was across the room.
Are you using Gracie's iPad?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not looking at it. Listening and
You're
shipping. There we go. Kate, I cannot tell you how much I love your TikToks. If you guys are not following Kate Bronson, she just said listening and shipping. Go follow her and go follow her on TikTok because she is awesome. I just
we
watched your
love
one.
her.
Yeah,
Love her.
I I very rarely will just like pull Jen aside and be like, look at this. This is hilarious. But with her, I'm like, go follow her. I feel like you just like her. She's awesome. Go follow
Our
her.
inbox
Um,
on TikTok is just Kate Bronson. That's ridiculous second part.
so y'all go follow her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So, y'all, that's really that's the only thing I really wanted to cover. I feel like if you understand this one thing and you go back through the thing that I was saying with the listening is a lot of people are just listening to your shows. And if they're just listening, then the things that you're saying and how you're saying it and in the format that you're saying it will keep people more engaged. And they might not be in this position to be buying right now, but they will later. And the more FaceTime that you get with them and the more that they hear you, the more that they know, like, and trust you. And that will lead into even more return buyers and first time buyers in the future. Um, so, what you want to do is pay attention to your audio. There's a guy, his name is I think his name is Vin Zhang. He is a communication expert. He's awesome. Go look him up on YouTube. Maybe we should probably type in his name because I'm not even sure I'm saying it right. But he says if you want to get really good at communication, record yourself and just talking about something that you know and record yourself and take a video of it and then watch back. And you're going to do it in three different ways. First, you're going to turn down the volume and you're just going to watch your body language. You're just going to see how you look on camera. Second, you're going to turn your phone upside down and just listen to what your voice sounds like, your cadence, and how you're speaking. And then third, look at the whole presentation. And so that sounds like something, number one, people are like, are you kidding me? I am not watching a video of myself or I'm not listening to my voice because nobody likes the sound of their voice because it sounds different in their head. But I promise you, if you go back through and you listen, you will notice things and you listen as like, stop judging yourself so harshly. When my friends say something about themselves, like, hey, you can't talk about yourself that way. That's my friend you're talking about. Don't say that. Um, if Jen says, hey, you can't talk about my wife that way, if she says anything negative about, hey, you can't talk about my wife that way. So don't talk to yourself that way. Just go through and listen and look for things that you would tell yourself that you could improve upon and write it down and choose one thing. You might find like you're probably going to be pretty harsh on yourself at first, but find one thing that you'll improve next time. And it might just be like your cadence and how you're approaching it and being like, I'm going to switch it up. If it sounds the same every single time, switch it up. Switch it up in some way and be like, I'm going to use either different words, I'm going to use a different cadence, or I'm going to introduce like a story, or I'm just going to say, this is what I love about this item, or I'm going to say, this is how I'd pair this item with something else. This is how I'd style it. And if you do that, one thing, every show that you do that with, and it doesn't have to take long, you only have to look through like one or two items and you'll start to see these patterns that emerge because you have a process and you're doing the same thing again and again because you're a pro. But when it only takes like maybe probably less than 10 minutes and you can identify things. You're like, oh, I say this a lot. I say the word so all the time. I start out my sentences with so. And I realized this when I started recording TikTok videos and I would punch in and out and I would start every sentence off with so, and I would notice that. And then now that I'm aware of it, and here's the second piece to this. Now that I'm aware of it, number one, that's a win. I'm aware of something. Number two, you're going to do it again. And that's good because the next time that you do it, you'll be aware of it. See, the goal isn't to say, okay, I say a lot. So I'll give you an example. See, I just said so. I'll give you an example. I would talk to my sales agents and I'd say, hey, you say a lot. And that filler word kills credibility. So we're going to work on eliminating. And we would listen to a call and they're like, I do say a lot. And if I was really wanting to drive the point home, I would have them tally how many times they say that in a call or in like a 10-minute uh, portion of the call, and I'd have them tally it. And they say, okay, I do say a lot. Great. So now that you understand that, now we're going to look to remove that word. And they would go out there and they would take another call and they come up to me and be like, oh no, I said so many times. I caught myself doing it. And I'm like, yes, that's awesome. And they're like, no, I was doing the thing that we decided I wasn't going to do anymore. I was like, I know, but now that you have that awareness of it, now you will stop doing that thing. You will screw up. In fact, if you don't screw up, that's amazing, but you will inevitably screw up. And it's the awareness of the screwing up that allows you to remove it. It's not going to happen the first time. So when I tell Jen, I'm like, hey, you say sorry all the time. You need to stop doing that. The next time she goes live, she's like, okay, and oh, you are looking for that? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't. And you could see where she's like, oh, I said sorry. And it's like, oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to say sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. That is the learning right there. I'm sorry for saying sorry. I'm so sorry. That's the awareness of it. And that awareness, it only takes one or two times and you'll stop doing it. Your brain's like, we're not doing this anymore. And you'll become highly aware of it. And then the next time you do a show, you're gonna be like, I say cute for everything. Instead, I'm gonna use, now I can't even think of words off the top of my head. Adorable, gorgeous, chic. I don't know. Words that are used to describe fashion and very fashion minded people use that I don't use. But or for example, Jen would say gorge all the time. And I was like, don't say gorge. She's like, everyone says gorge. I'm like, gorge has a different meaning. I know it's short for gorgeous, but the word gorge and the word gorgeous are way two completely different things. And even if it's a trend, it it bothers my ear every time you say that. So she'd be like, okay, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to stop doing that. I'm not saying if you say gorge, yeah, I am. Don't say gorge. Doesn't make any sense. Um, so what you do is you go through and you improve this by looking, you get your own feedback, improve your input in your process, regardless of what's happening, regardless if it's summer slowdown or it's a holiday or big raid trains are happening or a seller went live at the same time as you, it doesn't matter. You're going to focus on this. And over time, you will get better and better at what it is that you're doing. And that is my rant for the morning. And hopefully that helps y'all.
You should look at the questions. There was a couple good ones. I can just read
All right.
them.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Um, Beals Repeat Boutique says, I work full time and have a big interest in live selling. Is this even possible? I've had a few shows and traditional sell and am overwhelmed. Suggestions.
Um, so you're doing full-time job. Can you summarize? Sorry, baby. So
She has a full-time job. She does traditional resale, but she
mm,
wants to do live sales and wonders if it's possible.
um the answer is the answer is 100% yes. It is 100% possible. The other thing I would say too is to make the decision that if you want to do live sales and you're currently doing traditional sales, there will be a point that you need to make a jump over to it. I'm not saying that you need to shut down your eBay store today, but I am saying that running an eBay store at the same time as doing live sales, both will suffer. You're going to have to pick whether you're a live seller or traditional sales. And when we first started coaching people, I was like, oh, I don't know, I think people could do hybrid. And now that I've done it for long enough, I'm like, no, you can't be hybrid. And the reason why is a mindset thing, because you'll always be, one business will be taking from the other, because one business you'll favor over the other. So you'll be like, oh, this item I'm not going to sell live because I can sell it more for eBay. And so as you're sourcing, you're sourcing for your traditional sales, and then you're sourcing for your live sales, and there it's not going to work, and both of them are going to suffer. So don't pit your businesses against each other. Pick one of them. And as soon as you're like, can I do this? Yes, 100%. Here's what I would say. I think if you're just starting out with live sales, the setup process can can be, the longer that you spend in staging and setting up for it, as long as you're not procrastinating in a sophisticated way, it will, you can, you'll have more success on the start of it. And what you need to understand in moving into live sales, when you're like, I'm going to do live sales, is you are going to want to set up, like, live sales is not one show. One show does not make your business. It is going to be that you are doing multiple shows. Again, like this input in this process, this thing right here, you're going to be going through this a lot. Just like in traditional sales, like if you want to do really well in traditional sales, you got to do volume of items to get up there. Not even in that you need volume in order to be successful. You just need volume to understand what's going to help you to be successful, right? So it's the same thing in live sales. You're going to want to figure out your weekly thing. So if you're working full time, number one is you're going to want to systematically close down your traditional sales and begin to prepare to go live. So you're going to want to set up your space. You're going to want to understand what items you're putting in, load your store. You're already really good at this if you're doing traditional sales, and you're going to load your store, and you're going to do like 40 to 50 items, and you're going to put it into a sequence. And again, it's not about getting it right. It's about doing it and then improving over time, not about like knocking it out of the park one time. One show will not define your business. Just like it'd be like going to the gym and being like, if I can just get one good workout in, I will be fit. And it's like, that's not how that works. You got to do it again and again and again and again. And so go in with that mindset of, I'm going to do this again and again, and I'm going to learn from every single time that I do this. And then you're going to set up to do the best that you can do in one show, as if you're only going to do one show, but you know that you're going to do multiple shows. But you want to approach one show as in like, how can I do this and prepare for this the best that I can, and then execute on it. And then you're going to watch your film afterwards. And you're already going to have other shows set up. So have a process that when somebody comes in and they buy from you for the first time, and watch what happens. When Jen gets a first time buyer, she will do this thing where she's like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for your first purchase. You're going to love this. She'll kind of reinforce, like, this is why I love this item, and I think you're going to love this. Also, if you like this type of stuff, I do shows, bop, 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 and you'll probably like my fancy find shows. So go bookmark. And she gives them a call to action. So she is set up to now be in a relationship with that buyer. A lot of times she'll go look up their name, be like, first time buyer, boom, look at their profile. Oh my gosh, you have like 1,200 sales on here. That's amazing. If you guys want some free promo, buy something from Jen in her show. She will go look at your profile, and she'll be like, oh my gosh, you sell and you have a show. Everyone go bookmark. And so what you'll want to do is to have other shows set up so that when people buy from you, you have this process where you say, hey, thank you so much. You're going to love this item. And if you love this item, you're going to love what other things I pick up. Go bookmark my next shows. And then when they receive that item, because you're awesome and you're professional, when they receive the item, they're going to relive that experience, and they're like, yes, this item is awesome. She was right. And oh, yeah, I bookmark her show. I'm going to go check her out and make sure that I don't miss her next show. And next thing you know, that buyer's coming in again and again. And this is the power of live selling that you cannot get in traditional sales.
Okay, we have more questions.
All right.
Joy says, do you recommend taking all my items off traditional platforms and just try to get them sold live?
Um, the answer is yes. And I know for us, we had at the time we had like 7,200 active listings. So for us, we were pulling them out of inventory. We started to do a huge audit in what we were doing. We did a huge audit. And I don't know how many listings you have right now, but I do recommend starting to go through an audit. And imagine your listings now are like your ingredients, and you're going to go through and you're going to pull from your ingredients. It's like when you're like, what are we having for dinner tonight? And you open up the pantry and you open up the fridge and you start putting together like, what is going to make the most sense to take these things and make the best meal possible. That's what you're going to do with your listings. You're going to be the chef who's looking at their ingredients, like, what can I take from this? And then you're going to pull those ones off. And then for those of you that are like, so I should pull out my best items. I wouldn't recommend taking all your best items and putting it into your first show, unless you really want to just shock your nervous system into watching all your best items go for not what you could have sold them for on traditional sales. What I would recommend is taking, like, going through and kind of putting in like your putting them into like a tier of like, here's my A items. This is tier A, here's tier B, and here's tier C, and finding a combination that you feel comfortable with of being like, I'm going to take some of my B and C items and I'm going to create a show out of it. And I'll take some A's and I'll sprinkle it in. And as far as sequencing goes, sequencing is more like, um, it is not like baking, it's more like, cooking. So it's going to be a little bit, it's the artist's view. So look at yourself as both the scientist and the artist. When you're sequencing, it's going to be, how do you wanna set it up? Jen's done a variety of things. She's put all of her bangers up front, she's sprinkled them throughout, and she's done grand finales, and she will try to set it up as like she'll look at her show as a whole of like when she does her fancy finds, for example. Bin show is different. The sequencing is however it lays in the cart. In her live show, in her fancy find show, however, she will go through and sequence it. She sets aside time to be like, I need to sequence my show. And so she will go through and be like, okay, I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to end with these ones. And she looks at it as a whole, as in like, think of it like, again, I use the restaurant analogy a lot. Think of a chef setting out the courses. Like, what are you going to start with? What's going to be your appetizer? What's going to be your main event? What is going to be dessert? Right. And so
And when
however you,
you start to do it, it'll get easier.
yeah, 100%. So, um, so let me see. Okay. Hopefully that helps. I am going to, okay. The last question, I'm just looking off of the last questions, guys. I'm sorry if you,
It
I will get
go
lost in the mix if I
up.
go back up.
If
No,
you
it's okay. I'll get lost.
just look, I'm gonna show you something.
I need a moderator. Oh my
Open,
gosh, I'm overwhelmed.
look at me. Open it all the way, hit the up arrow on the left, and you can filter it by questions.
Up
So
arrow on the left. Uh-huh.
above, now
Okay.
hit
Questions.
questions.
Okay, cool. Okay. Cool.
Your
Okay.
advice for folks who want to sell pre-loved but don't have great bins and their thrift stores are overpriced. I'm gonna answer this one. We get this question all the time. People talk about how they don't have bins or they don't have low priced goods for them to flip. We recommend to get creative. Get on Facebook Marketplace and start looking for free clothing. Get on Craigslist. Put a group chat out to all of your friends and family that live in your local area. Thank you, early birds. And who have clothing, and be like, I will come pick it up. You can put it on your porch. You don't even have to do anything other than that. Get creative, because if you really want it, you'll figure it out. But or you take your overpriced items from the Goodwill and you say, this is an investment into my business, and you start it low enough that you'll get buyers, but not super high, because you want to be able to catch that low hanging fruit. Thank you for the coffee, Joy. So I would essentially just get creative. Hit up your friends and family. Like, you can get inventory for free like crazy. There are people who have clothing, or go to estate sales, go to garage sales, go to there's so many different ways to get clothing. If you see a clothing store that's going out of sale, go to the manager and say, I'm a reseller. I would love to buy bulk. What do you have? There's a lot of different options. I think a lot of times people, when they are like confused as to what to do with buying inventory, I think it's a sophisticated way to procrastinate. When really, like, if you want, Gracie, us being like, Gracie, go find your water bottle, and her
Mhm.
being like, I don't know where it is. Like, you gotta want it. If you want it, you can find the inventory.
Yeah. Here's another thing as well. Um, so live selling is really cool because it understand that although you guys may have watched like hundreds of hours of whatnot or TikTok live or Posh live or whatever it might be, we're still really new to this, and there's still so much opportunity that people aren't that we don't even see how like how awesome this can be yet. And I'll give
Mhm.
you an example. I think that if we didn't have the setup that we have right now of like bins and how we run what we call our plays, if we didn't have this setup for running our plays in this way, one of the things I think would be the most profitable, and I think I could honestly scale to like a seven figure, like $1 million or plus in a year would be this. Putting some money into ads, and what you do is you are helping people to get rid of items from their home. So um, we were taking a walk one day. We were out taking JJ and Gracie for a walk, and we were walking by this really unique house. And there was a woman outside, and she was cleaning some stuff up. And we were like, "Hey, your house is awesome. We really like it. It was really unique. I had a bunch of knickknacks all over the yard. It looked like a dream for a kid just to play in. There's a bunch of plants, and it was really cool. Not my vibe, but I really appreciated that somebody like took the time to put this together. And this woman was like, "Oh, this is my parents' work, but my parents have both passed away. And now I'm here. I live about 3 hours away from here, and I have to come down here because I still need to maintain all of this, and our house is filled with things, and I don't even know what to do. Like I a lot of these things that I know that they're worth stuff. I don't have the skill set or like the time to put in to like sell all these things, and I don't know what to do about all of this." And we were like, "Oh, well, we sell like live, and if you know if you're open to it, we would be open to exploring the possibility that we would come in, get an idea of your inventory, what you have in there, and we could sell that right from your home, and we would set up our little mobile studio, and we would do everything right from there, and we'd ship it all out for you." And then we would figure out a cut. So you would get a portion of it, we get a portion of it, and we could negotiate on that. And if you're open to it. And nothing ever came of it, but she was number one, absolutely relieved to the point that she started crying. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like this is I've been praying for this." And and she was like, I didn't know what to do with it." And so if we were to restart somewhere, or we were gonna go a different direction and we really wanted to do something, I think a brilliant idea would be like, "Hey, we help people to clear out inventory from homes," and I think one of the best ways to do it, I think it'd be so cool, if we weren't doing what we were doing right now. I think it'd be a really cool way to help people to process through the grief and to tell the story of for example, their parents. Let's say it's their parents have passed away, to go in and to retell their story and be able to do it through these items and really help them in the grief process and the honoring of their parents and their life, and at the same time helping them to clear out all these things that they're not going to store. And when we were coaching, there was a woman who was a real estate agent, and I was talking about this idea. She's like, "I think that's a great idea because a lot of times I'm dealing with the children who are like, my parents have passed away, I want to sell the home, it's filled with stuff." And so one of her value propositions was, "I will help you to get rid of those items. Either we'll donate them or we'll sell them, and then you'll get a cut of that, and that way we can just ship them out, and we'll donate everything else. I will help you, and then we'll stage the home and sell the home." And she came back like a couple weeks later, is like, "Oh my gosh, I got listings because of this thing. I'm going to help people to clear out items, and so." I'm gonna make money up front, so are they, and then I'm gonna be able to get the listing and sell the home. And she was like, "This is amazing. This like changes my business." And so, y'all, there are so many possibilities for this. So go ahead and take that idea if that's something that resonates with you. Um, so, hey, what is your advice for Okay, cool. We did that one. How do you watch your film after? Keep going movement says, how do you watch your film after? If you Jen, you can watch the show, right? You have the ability to watch the entire show, right? Or are you doing it off of the video receipts? She's she's paused right now. She's getting ready to go. She's stretching her hammies, doing some quad stretches because she's about to hit up the bins. I don't know if she can hear me.
Sorry, my headphones are hooked up, but I can't hear anything.
Mm,
Really
okay.
annoying.
But you can go back and watch your show. I believe it's there's probably people in here that know better than I do, but you there are video receipts, and Jen goes back and watches her entire show. Question from the Miss 1969: when you have a show booked, but I think it's changed the date or time, do you lose people who bookmark? No, you don't. Um, how many times? How many times? V's second season says, how many times do you show an item before you decide this item isn't going to sell? There's going to be a couple reasons why your item doesn't sell. Either you don't have it in front of the right people, you don't have a large enough sample size of people to know if it's a good buy or a bad buy, or it's just not a good purchase. So that's really where you're going to have to use your discretion to know what that is. If you're in a room and there's like four people in there and you're showing an item, you're like, I feel like this is a good item. It just may be a sizing issue. It may be it's just not their style, whatever it might be. I think you'll know, but I think you also need to be we talk about not being romantic with our items. And I think it's really important to understand that your items are not you. They're not an extension of you. They're part of your business. That's why we talk about understanding that there are systems within your business and what part of the business you're working in. So if you're looking through your items and you're not quite sure, go through and say, go through and look through each item and be like, um, is this is it a good brand? Is it a good material, like a cotton, a silk, a wool, a linen, something like that, like a natural fiber? Does it have a unique features to it, whether it be like cool buttons, embroidered, really unique cut, something like that? If it doesn't, and it kind of falls into this place of being like, it's a Nike dry fit with nothing cool on it, most likely it's not going to be something that you're going to be moving in live selling. So I wouldn't hold on to those things. I would really look through your ingredients and understand that like not all ingredients are made the same. So look through your inventory. Again, take the chef's mindset and be like, what are my best ingredients? And I would tier them out. I'd be like, tier A is going to be like awesome brand, awesome material, awesome cut, great size, unique features, really cool things. This dress has pockets, that type of stuff, and that's a tier A. Tier B, it's good. It's a good item. It's not going to be tier A. Tier C, if something falls into like tier C, it might be
Thank you.
it might go into donation. It might be better for you to donate it. There's no benefit in holding on to things that you're like, I'm not quite sure. If it's not something that you're feeling like that you have that it has enough of those qualities to it, just donate it. You will literally make more money by getting rid of those items than you would just holding on to them. And so that is kind of a question of like how many times you show it. It's going to depend on that. And I think after you've shown it and getting the feedback from that's the thing that we love about live selling is the instant market feedback. Once you've gotten that a few times, then I think you're going to know. You just need to be like honest with yourself. Like, don't be romantic about your items, okay? And never approach this from a scarcity mindset because there's so much items out there. I don't care what it is. There are so many items out there. Even if it's luxury, there's so many luxury items out there. So don't be romantic about items and don't ever feel like you won't be able to get more. There's so much inventory out there. You could never possibly gather it all. It's impossible. And if you're ever, I watched this woman on TikTok be like, if you guys are ever like feeling like it's scarce, like go peek in the back of a thrift store. You'll see there are massive amounts of items being donated daily. And so Don't ever feel like your items that you need to hold on to them. Okay. Don't hoard food. All right. Food does expire. All right. Your ingredients will expire. So will your items. How do you feel about whatnot promo for show? The last time I did it, I owed $21. Ashley's Addiction. What I would say about promo is you want to make sure that you have your process down and that people can come into your show and understand what is happening, and that we try to make the show sticky. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. When we say sticky, what is it that keeps people coming back again and again? And it's going to be this beautiful balance between um, a they know what the process is. They can feel comfortable in coming into your show and understanding what's happening. There's no confusion about it. Your start prices are the same. And then there's novelty, which is be like your novelty could even be in your voice tonality and how you change things, your stories, how you it could be new items that are coming through, whatever it might be. You need a combination of familiarity so that they feel comfortable in staying there and they understand what's happening, and they can just sit back and enjoy it, and novelty, something that is new. So that might even be the cadence in which you move through. If you move through like quick enough, people will stay because they're like, oh, I just want to see the next item. Oh, I just want to see the next item. So look for that balance between familiarity and novelty. Um, and then once you have that, then promote. Like once you see people are staying, like if you're holding if you're holding strong in your shows and you're making some sales, then promote. And once you're there, you'll know. I think you'll know. If you're like, I want to promote to just get people in to see if my show's sticky, I think that's a great idea as well. But look at it as an investment. And if you, for example, in your comment, you said the last time I did it, I owed $21, which might mean at the end, like I lost $21. But I want you to know that you're not losing anything in doing that, because you might have people that came in, loved what you do. They're still in consideration. They're not ready to quite purchase yet. They haven't converted yet, but give them another opportunity to. And $21, I think the thing that's beautiful about live sales, like if you were to go start a restaurant, you could go in the hole before you even open up your doors and make a single dollar in revenue. You could be in a couple $100,000. That's like that. If you don't, if it doesn't work, you could dramatically affect your life in a negative way. Live selling, if we're talking about like a couple $1,000s, you're going to be able to like recover from that really easily. And it doesn't have to happen all at once. It's not like you're leasing the building and getting all the equipment and doing all that. So look in ways that you can invest into your business as like market testing to see how well things are doing. Once it's doing well, promote that thing, get in front of people. Or if you're like, well, I'm not sure if it's working, promote and run giveaways and put an investment into your business. It's like the least amount of marketing dollars that you could use. Any other business out there, especially like any brick and mortar business, is going to be a much higher investment out front. So don't be afraid to invest into your business. Again, we're business owners. We're not employee mindset, meaning we don't look to make money every time that we do something. We're constantly testing. So remember, you're the artist and the scientist at the same time, and you're going to want to you need to be able to get that feedback to see. So we look at it like more like if you're going to start a restaurant, the best thing to do would be to make stuff in your own kitchen and be getting samples out to people. We look at it like that, like get your samples out there. You know, like when you walk through the mall and they're like, orange chicken, do you want some orange chicken? Right? That's a cost to them. They're paying for somebody to be out there, and they're paying in the product itself. They're losing money, but that is actually going to bring people in. So use promo in that way. Promo as like a way to get your samples out in front of people. Don't be afraid to invest or lose money, because you're not losing money, because you're in it for the long haul, because you're a professional. And then secondly is once your show is like sticky, where like you do have buyers, you have as soon as you start getting return buyers, start promoting that thing. And then again, go through your process and continue to get better at what it is you're doing show after show. Um, do you think it's best, Miss Jade says, do you think it's best to do pop-ups and not spend a lot of time uh, inputting inventory, or spend that time and promote shows? I think that what you can do is you can use shows for different purposes. One show might be mainly for like market feedback and getting in front of the camera and getting that experience and getting in front of people and building that relationship where you're not even concerned about making money. Other shows are more like, let's see how good I am at my staging, my sourcing, all that. So, for example, Jen's about to go into the bins. She's about to be elbowing some people. Just kidding. She's actually very calm now when she goes in. Look at her. She's smiling. She's ready to go. It's a beautiful day. um, Look at your shows as they can have different functions to it. So bin shows is where Jen is using volume and she is finding the items. We look at this as kind of like a feeder show. She's getting there, getting it's a way for her to get instant market feedback, for her to be in her skill set. And then her fancy find show is like, let's see what I'm made of. Let's see how good we are at doing what it is that we do. So she's trying to take the best of what she's got and put it out there. And so I that's one thing I would have you consider is like your show can be used for different purposes and they can overlap. So bin shows, for example, her bin show looks much different than her can you imagine if we see somebody like come up and take her cart and like walk off and we catch it all on camera right now. So her bin show will help to feed into her fancy find show. And then when people come into her fancy find show, she's like, if you guys like this, I found all this stuff at the bins. You guys should check out my bin show. And so it begins to kind of create this like loop where these shows start to feed into each other. So kind of look at it like a lineup. Imagine your channel. Imagine your channel as being your whatnot channel as being like a channel on TV. You can have different shows, right? So you can have y- hi, you made it. Everything's okay. She got her spot. She's happy. She's ready to go. Um, and she's in her zone right now. But you guys can use shows to help promote into other shows, right? So, or you can use shows as just like catching up. Like these shows right here for us right now is these are for this is for to connect with people, and this is for us to refine the stuff that we're teaching, and this is for to build relationships and to really help y'all in what it is that you're doing. So look at the different shows that you could put together. Keep it really simple. They don't need to be extravagant. I don't recommend doing game shows and mystery boxes and you doing deal or no deal. I don't recommend doing that stuff. I think it's really complicated for both the buyer and the seller. But look for ways that you can do shows that give you more face time in front of people, that allow you to work on your skill set and allow you to get instant market feedback. And then you can use those shows into where you're doing more like premiere shows. So pay these shows that she's doing, her bin show, she doesn't load anything into the store. Her fancy find, she loads it in. If you're just starting out, we highly recommend loading your store and putting everything in there and doing a lot of prep for your first show. If you One thing I'd recommend if you are going to do your first show, you can do some like test shows. So you get used to the Whatnot app, you get used to being in front of the camera. When you do your like your main event, you're already prepared. You already have like your lighting set up. So use it as like, I mean, every single bit, every single show that you're doing, you're gaining more experience. That's all you're trying to do. And so one show isn't going to define you, just like one workout isn't going to determine whether or not you get fit. Just like one night in your restaurant isn't going to determine the success of your restaurant. The main thing is every time that you do something, reflect on it and you'll get better at doing it. Um, Keep Going Movement says, would you suggest doing bracelets and tie-dye and beads and supplies all on the same channel? Yeah, I think you can do everything on the same channel. I just don't think you can do everything in the same show unless it makes sense, right? So I wouldn't sell a bunch of varied things all in the same show. My phone's gonna die. Let me see. I've got 14%. We're good. We'll make it. If I all of a sudden disappear, the end for me. um, but yeah, you can do it all on the same channel. Just don't do it in the same show. Imagine, I think about the restaurant analogy all the time. The reason why I do is because I had a conversation with somebody when I was leaving corporate America I was having a conversation with a dear colleague of mine, and he was asking me about the business. I was describing it to him, and he was like, "Oh man, that's amazing. Jen's an artist." And I was like, he's like, she does things that most people wouldn't do, like naturally. She's out finding items. It's like she's picking the colors for like a painting type thing. I'm like, man, that is a really beautiful way to put that together. And then he was like, yeah. So how do you scale a business around an artist? And I was like, oh man, and he wasn't saying it in a way of like, gotcha, or trying to place any doubt in me, but it had me like kind of step back a bit and be like, oh my gosh, like this is oh no, I don't know how you scale a business around an artist. And then he was thinking about it. I'm worried. I'm like, I'd already put in my 3 weeks notice. I was done. And I was like, uh-oh, did I make a big mistake in moving into something that isn't scalable? And then he sat there, he's like, oh no, it's like a chef. A chef is like an artist that has systems around him for him or her for a business. And so a chef is the artist, the restaurant is the business around the artist. And so yeah, it's like that. I'm like, oh my gosh. Number one, thank you for relieving me of this doubt that I now had. And then number two is once it clicked, I'm like calling Jen on the way home. I'm like, baby, you're like a chef. Like you're you're out there finding ingredients. You're building a menu each week. Like we're out there like getting it to the tables. Like because I've worked
I'm
in
like,
restaurants
what are you
before.
talking about?
I'm like, this is amazing. And then so we started talking about things of like, what's on your menu tonight? Like, how are you sequencing this? Like, how are you? And so think about that in that term. Like, you do have the actual processes and the inputs, and it's very like it can be more of like a, oh yeah, is it my size? That's the call center that I coached. What she just showed, Clearlink. That's where I coached. I started on the phones, and then I ended up coaching hundreds of agents in sales. So that's awesome. She just showed that.
LL Bean, extra large, extra tall, LL Bean.
So y'all, you're the chef. So there's going to be a combination of the artistry and then more of like the mechanics and like the scientific side of it, like the numbers, the sequencing of how you do it. And so you're going to constantly be building out how you do this and always be cultivating, like you're always playing different roles when you're sourcing. Right now Jen's the treasure hunter, she's Indiana Jones, she's got her bullwhip. She's out there hunting for that treasure. When you're staging, you're the TV producer. You're like making sure that the lighting's right. You're making sure catering's there, so you're fed. You're making sure like you're getting prepared for it. You're doing all the work up front. You're like an event planner, right? So that's more of that role. When you move into doing a show, now you're the party host. You're the talk show host. You're the one that's showing the personality. You can relax into it. You're engaging with people. You're going through your process. You know what you're doing. That's more where you show up as yourself. You're warmed up, ready to go. Shipping is more like I think of it more like manufacturing. It's like a very like systematic process. You look at how you set it up. Lean manufacturing, I think, is a good thing to explore if you're looking at your shipping and how you do it. We would put our things in very specific ways so we can be efficient with our shipping. And then story, the last part of the 5S cycle is going to be like documenting. You're like the documentarian, if that's the word. I don't know if you guys ever saw the documentary of Kanye West. He was like producing his own documentary about himself, which is very Kanye West style, before he was even big. So that's what you're doing. You're documenting the early years of what you're doing. If you haven't blown up as a seller yet, you're documenting it. You don't need to release the documentary yet, but you need to gather up all the footage, the numbers, making sure that you understand this, and then you can start documenting it on
You
whatever
should
channel.
briefly go over the 5S model just really quick so people know
Okay.
what you're talking about.
I might go run and grab a charger real quick. Or I
You
might
should do
we
it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll move into the studio.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
do that. You
I'm
got a
going mobile,
charger
folks.
charger.
We're moving. And I'll show you the 5S cycle. Jen and I are like, we'll do a hard stop at 8:30. It's 9:08. Like, no, I actually have more. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we're gonna move through here real quick. Um, so that's how you're gonna wanna. All right.
But I'll talk while you set
Yeah,
up.
please.
Okay, so I've seen a couple of people in the chat talk about how they don't enjoy preloading and they don't enjoy doing what they have to do to set the show up. And I really think you should switch your mindset to I'm creating a production and I'm putting together a show that's going to be really exciting. You're not putting the possibility of an incredible outcome and the excitement of that in front of you to give you motivation. And you need to do that. You need to understand that every item you load, every item you steam, every item you take pictures of is only helping you create an incredible experience for the buyer. It's not about you and what you enjoy. Steven does not enjoy steaming clothes and lint rolling them, but it's part of the process. It's part of what you have to do in order to build a really good experience for your buyer. And what it's like right now is difficult and slow and mundane and monotonous. But as you do it more, you're going to get more and more efficient. You're going to be like, boom, 30 minutes steamed, lint rolled, loaded. Like, it's not always going to be this struggle to try and load and prepare your store. So I just want to throw that out there because I saw several comments being like, man, the staging of things is not fun. I'm overwhelmed. Like, just take it one step at a time. And if you have to take 3 days to prepare for a show, then do it. But understand that you doing that creates a better outcome for you and your buyer. Just like Stephen was saying, your input and your process, that is part of it. Staging is something you can control. The more effort people put into before they go live, the better they succeed. But if you're just popping up and pressing live and doing the bare minimum, you're going to not be able to outshine anyone who does. So someone like me for my Fancy Find show, I'm steaming lint roll. I mean, I'm not. My husband is. I'm getting ready. I'm staging myself. I do my hair. I do my makeup. I do self tanner. I do everything to. When people come into my room, they're like, "Holy smokes, this is a show!" And people will stay from the beginning to the end because of all of the show prep that I do beforehand. I think a lot of people think I just hit live and like, bam, I'm ready to go. Nope, it's all day. I'm getting ready all day long to prepare to go live. So what my husband's going to cover right now is called the 5S cycle or the 5S model. It is the cycle that you go through within your business every time you do a show. It is a show cycle, and you have to finish the cycle completely before you begin another show. Because if you don't, that is how death files happen, is because you source, and then you source, and then you source, and then you source. But you never stage, you never do a show, you never ship, and you never tell a story because you're doing the sourcing cycle and you're not finishing the rest. So my husband came up with the 5S model. This, genuinely, all of these concepts were just so Stephen and I could have a language to talk about our business. Like, we didn't have any intention of sharing this with people, but once we realized that we had there was so much value in this and that it was actually helping people, Stephen Stephen did the majority of the coaching. I would chime in every now and then with our coaching group, but we coached live sellers for over 2 years or almost 2 years. And this model and this cycle that he's going to show you is a game changer. And if you understand it and you go through it, you will win. Take it over, babe. I pass the baton to you. Take the conch.
Little Lord of the reference. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So this is the
Don't judge
5S.
me.
I would never. This is the
Yeah.
5S cycle. This is what she's talking about. First, you start out with sourcing, then stage show, and then you ship, and then the story is you documenting everything that your numbers, where you actually like track your numbers and how
Are
many
you on
buyers you got.
Wi-Fi, babe? You
Um,
need to be on Wi-Fi because you're breaking up.
okay.
Mhm.
All right. So if you guys want to catch a screenshot of that, I have a video on TikTok that I briefly go over it, like real brief. So the 5S cycle, the 5S cycle, this is how you can evaluate where you're at in your business. So we talked about this. This is the universal systems model. This is how systems work, right? So your input and your process, the output and your feedback. We look at so we look at the universal systems model. Each one of those is a system. Sourcing has a system. So Jen, if you watch her, she has a system for what she's doing. Her process. So number one, she has her input. So she has the time that she's putting into it. She has her energy that she's putting into it. She has resources. So it'd be like her the tools and the things that she has. You see that she's got her fanny pack, she's got her headphones. Like every night she charges it up, make sure that her bag is packed with everything she needs because she's doing the first three parts of the cycle mobile. So each one of these, her system is going to be different for this type of show. Her sourcing and her staging and how she does her show is different than how she does Fancy Find. But she has her input and she has her process. Her process right now is she'll move everything to one side of the bin and she doesn't cherry pick through it. She touches every single item as she goes through it. You can see she's moving everything to one side, and then she goes through and she looks through each one of the items, and then she moves on. She fills up her cart, she goes back. There's a process for how she's doing it. Now when she goes to like a regular Goodwill or a regular like thrift store, it would be a different process. She'll go to a certain area, but she has a process for how she does it.
You're breaking up
And each
so
one of the
bad,
stores that she
babe.
goes to has a different process.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Okay.
I don't know why.
Sorry, y'all. Let me check in. Huh. Okay.
That's better. Whatever. Well, you're
Let
still
me,
so choppy. Sorry, you guys. This is.
okay. Was that better
You're
outside?
good.
I just need to charge my phone. That's why I'm in
Mhm.
here. Okay. Hopefully you guys caught that. But you want to understand your process for each one of these pieces, okay? Then once you've sourced, you're done with doing that, okay? You then move on to the staging part. If you have inventory right now, you have you are in the staging process. This is where I think a lot of people actually are. If you're not going live yet, this is where you're at. So staging is going to be, and by the way, the more staging that you do in the beginning, over time, it won't take you as long to stage. Like it won't take you that long to sequence shows or to load your shows. You'll get better and better at doing it. And so the first ones are gonna be like, man, I'm doing a ton of work up front. But over time, like once you have like your studio set up and you have your shipping set up, it'll be easier for you to stage, right? So look at it in that way. Like you're going to do in setting up your business, it's going to be the staging process is probably where a lot of y'all are at. And you're going to spend as much time as you can here because each one of these goes into the next piece. Okay. So for example, if staging is like crazy for you where you're like, this is so much work, more than I think it should be, look at your sourcing. Jen, a lot of times won't pick something up because it's like staging this thing is going to be too crazy. Depends on what it is. Or she's like, I have to like overcome all these things. So if it's like, this is missing buttons and I need to mend this and that, that'd be part of the staging process. So she would be like, if staging's out of control right now and I can't get a handle on this, go to the previous part of the cycle and be like, I need to evaluate what it is that I'm sourcing. I think a lot of people are really good at this. this is where they struggle, and they want to kind of skip into doing the show. But when you skip this part right here, this isn't going to do nearly as well. So get really good at staging. Staging is the lint rolling, the steaming, the how you sequence your show, getting yourself ready. And there's been a few questions here around energy levels. The more that you stage and be prepared for what that you're doing, the more energy you will have to put into your show. Also, pay attention to your energy. So, if for example you're having an energy issue where you're like, I keep running out of energy, your shows might be too long. Let me see if I can raise this up a bit. Your shows might be too long. Hold on one second. Yeah, that's better. Your shows might be too long, or your you have your weekly cadence, because I do recommend trying to do this on like we look at our cycle as on like a weekly cadence. Maybe you have too much stuff going on, for you're burning yourself out because you're doing so much stuff. Or it could possibly be you didn't spend enough time in the staging part, so your show, it seems like really chaotic because you're having to run around. You don't know where, oh, where's my tape measure? Each one of those things is pulling energy from you. And then it might be like, hey, maybe a moderator would help you. So ask one of your friends, someone in the community, to see if they can mod for you, or somebody that comes into your show all the time. A lot of times people are willing to help out with that. But if you put more time into your staging, a lot of times it can free up a lot of energy within your show. So watch back through your show. If you're like, man, I'm running out of energy, go through and look. I see a lot of people in their shows, which I'm like, that'd be exhausting. They're like moving from like side to side. They're like, okay, so we have this over here, got this. Let me grab, what are you guys doing, the request? Okay. Items 21 and 27. Hold on one second. I think it's over here. Where's my tape measure? And you're running around, and it's like this stressful thing. So at that point, you're like the server in the restaurant, right? And if you're not prepared with what it is you're doing and understanding, questions will throw you off, and you're running around trying to do stuff. And then at the end, you're like, oh, I'm exhausted. Honestly, but if your staging is really good, by the end of your show, you should be like kind of amped up because you're like connecting with people. And so something to keep in mind is like when Jen's done with her show, the only reason she's done with her show is she sold all of her items. It's not that she's out of energy, but we also put a massive amount of time into the staging process. So that's something you really want to consider, is what your process is looking like. So hopefully that helps. Um, if my um vintage um love you, I don't know if I'm saying your name right, says, my if my energy is going down, should I end my show? I In your staging process, have an idea of what your show is going to look like. So
Well,
I would
tell
finish
her
out your
about
show.
controllable wins. If your controllable
Okay.
win is to finish your show, you finish your show. Like, there shouldn't be
Okay.
an opportunity for you to be
Mm,
like, I'm going to biz out of my show. You should be finishing your show, meaning you have it in a sequence that you're going to follow. You're never like, do I end my show? You always finish your show because you do what Steven is saying, which is staging and designing the show. And there is no opportunity for you to biz out because you designed a show. You're doing it from beginning to end.
yeah. um I
Chug
think it's
that
good. So let
coffee,
me show you
babe.
this. I wasn't drinking coffee, I was writing.
I'm
Okay,
just joking.
can't be drinking coffee. We'll have to end this early. um Even though we're an hour over what we said we were going to do. um okay, so
Hold
this
on, babe.
part of the
Also,
universal systems model.
sorry.
Yeah.
Also, friends, if you're finding this valuable, please tip. Like, if you give your money to receive information, you're more likely going to use it. If you get a bunch of free information and you did nothing for it, you're most likely not going to use it. So you can buy a coffee and the buy it now. Everything Stephen is talking about, the universal system model, the 5S model, is all in the playbook. It's $20. Read it over and over and over again. It goes over the entire sequence of the 5S model. And if you're someone who's like, shoot, I'm brand new, I don't know even where to begin, you are going to want the playbook. So we're providing our time and we would just like in exchange of value because you will benefit from it more. Just to put that out.
Okay, so this is a universal systems model. Remember, our input and our process is what we focus on because it influences the output, and we use our feedback on what happens for our output that goes back into our input and our process. Okay, super important to understand this because this is what helps you with the mindset and keeps you focused on what it is that you're doing. Thanks, the fun fit. Um, Okay, so this right here, this part of the process, this is your controllables. Okay, I don't know if controllable has two L's right here or one. So, um, so this part of the system is controllable. This right here is not controllable. This is the uncontrollable part of the any system, right? And so you what we want to only focus on the controllable as far as what actions we're going to take and decisions we make and the story that we tell about our business, right? Not interested in having conversations about things that I have no control over because it's not of benefit. The only thing it does is it makes me feel better and it gives me the ability to give my the responsibility or the power away so that I don't have to look at my feedback and adjust my input in my process. I want you guys to be super aware of that. Like, don't, there's no need to have conversations about like, if Jen's at the bins right now and somebody starts coming up being like, yeah, there's nothing here today. It looks like it's all picked over. There's nothing there. That is a conversation that needs to end immediately because there's no benefit to having the conversation. Even if it has been picked over, there's still no benefit to having the conversation. The reason why is because if you accept that as being like, oh, I guess that's the case, what'll happen is you will abandon your controllables. You'll stop with your input in your process and you will there's no reason to have it. It's not a thing about like you need to remain positive. It's just like there's no reason to go through and be like, yeah, there's nothing at the bins. There's nobody shows up to my shows. It must be because there was I had a comment on my TikTok that was like um it was around like, well, my I have a video that says the I think the hook on the TikTok is like the reason why people aren't staying in your whatnot show is not because of the algorithm, it's because of you. And I think somebody was commenting on the TikTok saying, I don't, they were just like, I don't agree with that. There are things like I do this and that, and I'm usually have successful shows. And then one of my shows was somebody had that I didn't have as many people on my show. And so I went after I finished my show and I saw that there was a raid train happening and I went into the raid train and I saw a lot of my buyers in that show. And so because of that, that was the reason why that show wasn't successful, which is valid in being like, yeah, there was a raid train. A lot of my buyers were in this other show. Totally, 100%. But what does that have to do with anything? Because here's the truth. Your input in your process should not change. Okay. It doesn't matter if your buyers are in another show or not, because that's out of your control. What is in your control is what you're doing in your show. It'd be like waiting for, I played in a band for years and it was like, if there were five people in the room, I'm still going to play as if I'm playing at a stadium. Why? Because it doesn't work the other way. It's like looking in the mirror and being like, I'm not smiling until the mirror smiles back at me. It doesn't work that way. You got to go first. And so to go in and be like, well, all these variables have an effect. So you're saying it doesn't have an effect? No, I'm not saying it doesn't have an effect. I'm saying it doesn't matter because your input in your process will change if you take that story and be like, yeah, therefore there's a raid train happening with big sellers right now. And so what? There are thousands of people that are coming onto the app every single day. There might be somebody who just downloaded whatnot, signed up and went in, and your show might be the first thing that they come into, but you're like, well, there's a big thing going on, so this is kind of a throwaway show, so it doesn't matter. And their very first experience of you was that, where it was a throwaway show for you because you had already made this story up about what was happening. It was summer slowdown. It's the time of day, this or that. And that person could have been a buyer that would spend thousands of dollars with you over the course of a lifetime, but you weren't prepared because you were focused on the output and the feedback, which you don't control. So pay attention to the stories you're telling yourself and what you're agreeing with. There's no benefit to being like, the bins are picked over, there's no good items here. Okay, if that's your story, sounds good to me. I when I was really focusing on working on my sales skills, once I was like, I'm gonna get really good at this thing, and I was going home and practicing, and I was working through all my every single portion of my process. When I went into work, I was normally I was like I would talk with everybody, but when people would come over and be like, "Yeah, the calls today, man," I would tell them, I'm like, "I'm sorry, I cannot talk to you right now." I would be a little bit harsh, like really direct, me, like, nope, not over here. I do not have conversations like that." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because, well, I'm just getting these bad calls. All the calls are bad today." I'm like, "No, no, I'm sorry for you. That sucks for you. Those aren't my calls. I don't agree with that reality at all. I'm going to like completely like turn away from it." And it sounds harsh and it sounds I think a lot of people are like, that's a little overboard, and maybe it is, but I continually got better at what I was doing, and I did not agree with things that weren't in line with the output that I was looking for and the feedback. And I solely focused on this. So I would not have conversations with people where they're like, "Yeah, my last three calls were the worst. Like I got the worst." And I'd be like, "That sucks for you. And I'm so sorry. I hope your calls get better. I got to take this call right now, or I've got to work on this." Because all you end up doing is it becomes the game of who's got it worse. "Oh, yeah, your bins are bad. You should see mine. There's nothing there. I'm pretty sure that there's urine all over the like, okay, then don't go there, but we don't need to have a conversation about it. Be really aware of the stories that you're telling yourself, because what won't happen is you're not going to complain into a wonderful business that you like. You're never going to complain your way into a life that you love. It's never going to happen. You're never going to worry your way into a life that you love. You're not going to come into agreement with things that you don't want, and then somehow it works out in the opposite way. So be highly aware of how you phrase things and how you approach things. That's that's me going off for a second. Um, do you use OBS for music? The FunFit asked. We just use an Alexa Dot. Should be in here. Maybe it's not. I don't know where it is. Oh, it's over here. We adjust the music level and we play around with it so that the sound of it's loud enough that you can hear it, but it's not overpowering. And the playlist is honestly more for Jen than it is for the audience. And you can look at ways, and we can actually, this is perfect because it'll tie in with energy levels. Your energy level is tied to your physiology. Okay. Your physiology has a big effect on your actual mood. And so, for example, it's been proven that if you sit like a goofball and look in the mirror, you don't even have to look in the mirror. If you smile like a goofball, just like for 2 minutes, your body will begin to release the chemicals that match align with that physiology, right? So if you're like, "Man, I don't know why I'm like so tired all the time. Oh, your body language, switch up your body, switch up your environment, and you can get the energy back and you can get into the mood that you want. You can use your body. You can do one of two things. You can go internally and have an effect on the outer, or you can do outside in, meaning like your body can affect your internal state. So, for example, something I do with our 9-year old when she's like starting to be like, "Oh, everything's like the worst, and I didn't have what I wanted for dinner," and all that stuff. Before we go through and start working through where she's at emotionally and help her to get into a better state, what I'll do is I'm like, "All right, stand." She can't like cross over or like put her head down and stuff. If she wants me to help her to move into a better state, we're going to start with her physiology first. And she has to have her feet wide. And sometimes I'll have her like put her hands in the air like this, like, "Yeah, yeah." Or we'll jump around. We'll just like hop for a little bit because she can't do it and stay in that mood. if she's like, no, everything's the worst, and my friends can't play right now, and I have to do this, and I don't want to do math right now, or whatever it is, we'll just start bouncing or whatever it might be to get that physiology changed. Because when you change your body, it'll change everything. It'll change how you like show up, right? So use this to your advantage. I I don't care. I don't care. What people think about if I'm doing something that looks odd, because I need to be in that state to get me to perform in the way that I want to for my input and my process. So for example, when I managed a contact center, what I would do with my sales team, 7 a.m. in the morning. Nobody is excited to be there to have conversations with small business owners about internet, phone, TV, all that stuff. Nobody is like, yes, this is what I'm passionate about. I'm also not excited about this stuff, but I am excited about helping with performance and getting people to improve in certain things that they're working on. So I want to be able to coach people, but I have to go first. The same thing with your shows. You've got to go first. You can't go in there being like, I'm not doing anything until I got 20 people in here. I'm not showing up until it gives to me first. It doesn't work that way. You've got to go first. A lot of people are considering whether or not they're going to stay in your show based off of your energy. And I'm not saying that you need to be like super hyper or anything like that. You just need to be in a state that's where they want to be at. So you need to be in a state where you enjoy being. You could be super chill and calm and however you want to do it, and people that when you are in that state and you're like, this is what I love to do, people will stay in that. They'll join for the show and they'll stay because they are now getting into that same state. So you're leading them and they'll begin to match your energy with that. So I'm gonna do all so I can see what's going on. um so you can do this. Make sure that your physiology matches what it is that you're trying to do. You can use music to do this too. Jen creates a playlist based off of what she wants to listen to that keeps her in that state. So a lot of times in her Fancy Fine show, as she's trying stuff on, she's like dancing too, because she knows that her energy is up, ready to go. So I'm going to be going and hanging out with her. But hopefully this has been helpful to y'all. We'll be back here. Thank you all so much for the tips. Really appreciate
Yeah.
that. Um,
Sorry,
really
just
appreciate
Papa
that.
covered
And
my camera.
on purpose,
No, he just brought me a bunch of stuff.
that's awesome. Jen's going live today at 3:45. Um, I hope this has been helpful for y'all. Um, and give me like a thumbs up if this is helpful. And if you guys have things that you want to, if there's something specifically that you guys want to address, hopefully that energy stuff helps. Try it out. Like you got to understand, like both Jen and I right now are running off of probably like 5 hours of sleep. And we used to be like, oh, 5 hours of sleep, we should be
Oh
tired. Like
no.
it's a story that we're telling ourselves, oh no. But instead, being like, that's one way to do it. But is there any time that you have been going off of like 3 to 4, and it's not like you want to sustainably be like, yeah, I'm just rocking off of 3 hours of sleep every night. But what I am saying is if there's a circumstance that you're like, I'm low energy because I didn't get enough sleep last night, your body's like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. But is there ever been a time in your life that you have been high energy when it didn't make sense? Right? It didn't make sense for you. Like, I don't know why, but I'm feeling really good right now. Maybe there's something going on. You're excited about something. You can cultivate that energy within you. So, like Jen, she's up at 6 a.m. and she is like out the door getting ready. And I promise you, when her alarm goes off, she's not like, hooray, but she has things that she does that will help her to get her energy up. So, regardless of what happens, her state will stay where she wants it to be because it's a 10-hour day at the bin. So,
No,
something
it's
that
12.
will, yeah, it is 12, huh?
Even more than that.
After you,
I get there
yeah,
at
once it's all said and
7:15.
done.
I get home at 7:30.
Yep. So 12 hours. And yeah, we are like a bit tired at the end of the night. But when we build in places to actually rest and recover, but use these things, use it right now. If you guys are feeling a little bit low in state right now, change up your physiology. A lot of times I just start like clapping. I would bring my sales team in and we just like put our arms around each other in like a huddle and we just start like bouncing and stuff like that. You can use singing or music to do it. You do these things because that's it's what it's going to take to be um, crushing it as a live seller, because you do not want to determine your uncontrollables. You don't want your uncontrollables to determine your input and your process. If you get this
Thank
system
you so
right,
much.
if you get this thing awesome, if you get this right, it doesn't matter what your output and your feedback is. Your input and your process will begin to give you a better output, and you'll get better feedback.
Hmm.
And we use our feedback to do this. Don't try to get your what you want. Like, well, I'll do the work and I'll do the process once this is how I want it to be. Once I have 20 people in my show, then I'll bring the energy. It doesn't work like that. You're trying to get something from you got to go first.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. And the way that you can do that is get yourself into state. And ways to do that is use your physiology, use your body to put yourself, force your body to get into the state that you want to be. Just like if my daughter gets moody, I literally like, all right, come on, let's go. We're winning right now. Put your hands above your head. Let's go. Come on, let's bounce. Come on, let's dance. She cannot stay in a bad mood. She'll even try to return to it, but she can't if I am like, no, no, hands up, let's go. We're winning. Let's go. Yeah. She will. And then once she's out of that mood, then we can address like what maybe has helped her, what may have caused her to get into that mood. But we cannot try to operate from like trying to solve the mood, from being like, yeah, everything's the worst, everything's the worst. And now you're going to what? You're going to get out of that state by like, from that state? No, you got to get your body out of that state. So, very first thing, we'll do weird stuff, start clapping, start jumping around, start like howling. Sometimes we'll howl, just like, oh, because you can't do that and still be in a bad mood. And so when I was a sales coach, that's the very first thing I do. When I walked in the door, if I didn't want to be there, I'm tired. I just drove for 40 minutes to get to work, and I got a long day ahead of me, and here we go. But what I'd do is I'd get amped up on the way there. I'd listen to music. I'd get myself amped up. I'd tell myself stuff, and I'd probably look like a crazy person driving to work. And then when I get to work, I'd walk into the building and be like, let's go. Who's ready for this? And I would walk through and I'd high five every single person. I don't care if you're a 45-year-old man. I don't care. If I high five you, you cannot be all serious and down. Like, I would see people like, oh, what's up? And I'm like, high five. They're like, no. I'm like, I'm not leaving until you high five me. And as soon as they high five me, there's like this look on their face of like, all right, like this is super cheesy and you're like Mr. Motivation. Okay, I'll high five you. But automatically things start to change. Or I'd have them stand up. Like, oh, everything's the worst. Like, stand up. Come on, let's stand up. Let's high five me. High five. We got to get out of that state. If you if you need help doing this, call up a friend that like makes you laugh. Call up a friend that you always have good conversations with before you go live. Get warmed up, bring the energy to your show that you want to be in, and watch what happens. People will stay in your show even if they're not buying stuff. People will be gravitated to it because people are not joining your shows because of your items. They are joining your shows because of how you make them feel. And they are going to you to watch your shows for the experience of how they want to feel. And so that means you got to go first. And when you do that, watch what happens. People will stay in your shows. You'll show up more of you. And the best way that you can do that is stage really well prior to that, and making sure that you can bring that with no limitation, because you're not focused on every single thing. Your attention isn't going to finding stuff and trying to run requests and things like that. So go to your staging process. That way, in your show, before you go live, you can bring the full thing. Hopefully that helps. Yeah, somatic exercises really help. Emotional freedom tapping, if you don't know what that is, look it up, EFT. Those things can really help. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with our kids.
You guys
So
can bookmark the LSP masterclass. I'm sure because Steven's doing these Q&As, he's ready to get in the ring and teach y'all a full-blown masterclass. So you guys can go bookmark that. There's 3 show posters up. I have it set for Monday. We haven't talked about him doing it, but we'll see what he thinks when I get home.
I love it. Okay. Love
We
you
love
all.
you so
Have a
much.
great day. Go out there
Let's
and get it. I hope
breathe.
people are like jumping around and bouncing around and clapping right now. Like, yeah, yeah, to get themselves into state, not because of anything we've done, but they're like dancing and stuff. Like, I got to get in a good mood. Okay. Love you all.
Love ya.
Bye.
Hold on.